Hey everybody, Richard Pickett here with digital brand Alchemy, and just going to do a real quick live broadcast. I figured it'd be easier than trying to record in the studio. Actually, let me let me remove that from the stream so I can get through this intro. I figured it would be a lot easier for me just to record this live, even though all I wanted to do is send out a simple recording. And it also gives you the opportunity that if you would like to hop on with me, got a webcam, want to go live with me, you can just go to that link below to join live with me now. And of course, as I go along on today's episode or show, feel free to drop in some comments and I'll be happy to chat with you guys. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to share this screen. And I just had a collection of things that have happened through the week, little things that inspired me, as well as people asking questions. And I thought I would just share them here with you guys and make a really, really quick and short video. So, all right, first one, if I can find the window now, I've got to get to it. Here we go. Nope, I can't get to it. For whatever reason, there we go. All right. Nope, that is also not it. Come on. I don't know why you can't see it, but my windows are not cooperating with me. I'm trying to drag this one window out of the way so that I can get to what I want to get to. Let me see if maybe doing that will help. And okay. Now let me see if we can pull the window up that I'm actually looking for. Yes, this is it. Now let me try to share it. Oh, technology. Sometimes you just gotta love it, right? All right, so now share. Stop sharing, share the screen again. Application window. Okay, this one should be it. Okay, cool, awesome. So, all right. So I don't scroll my feed a lot. I probably, this is gonna sound really bad, but I probably should scroll through the feed a little bit more than what I do. And the reason why I don't is because it turns into a huge time waste. And I still feel like sometimes I just end up wasting a lot of time and, you know, looking at the feed and just wasting time. So what I want to do is actually be very strategic about who I follow and engage with very specific posts for very specific reasons. And so I'm going to try to improve on that over maybe between now and the end of this month. But I wanted to share with you a couple things that I did find that were kind of inspiring. So here's one from Eric Didier. Didier, I think is the way he pronounces his name. I'm hung up with French. We've got a lot of French people in my business, and we would pronounce that like DDA. But I think he pronounces it Eric Didier. So, and he's a really cool guy. If you are on LinkedIn, you will want to follow him. I can highly recommend him. He had a post, I think it was last month, that I found really inspiring. And basically he had a YouTube channel and he monetized it. And he said, I'm going to turn off the ads. I don't want to make money anymore, because he realized that he was now trying to make content just so that he could get a larger following so that he could make ad money. And it wasn't the content he wanted to publish. So I've got a lot of respect for that. So I'll follow him, and he put out this panel or carousel, I think they're called. And so it's basically, you can just put together a PDF. In this case, it's 10 pages. And his is how to combat the struggle of getting started. And so he's trying to inspire people who are getting their brand or personal brand, whatever, influencer, whatever they're trying to do, get started. And he gives a couple of really good points. You know, everybody starts at zero. He points some people out, like Gary Vee. You see he's really big today, but he points out that he started with Wine Library. And I wanted to fast forward to this one in particular, because I really, really like this advice where he's advising that you make a piece of content because this is what you really want, not because you're have any kind of ulterior motive. And I think this really is staying true to yourself and being who you are and bringing yourself to your craft. Of course, you'll always hear me say the other side of that too, is you actually have to have a product or a service. You can't just keep showing up and bring you and you only, because we have to contribute value. But he really encourages people to stay true to who they are And I really like this idea that if your work becomes a piece of art, you look at it like you're a practitioner or an artist and you're bringing your art to life. Then you really are never working. You're excited to do it because you're constantly creating something, and it's really coming from deep down inside of you. It's not a shallow thing, and you're not doing it with the hopes that, oh, will somebody please like me or whatever. Which if you start doing that, just like he found with his YouTube channel, you end up changing that motivation, ends up changing the type of content you create. And this is where we get caught up with likes and engagement, all those other vanity metrics, and it really will throw you off of success altogether. But so I found this one really inspiring. Let me put the link to this in the comments. So if you go to his post and you comment, please, please, please just tag me. Naturally, I'm on LinkedIn. You can just tag me and say, just whatever your comment is, and just tag me, because I want to come along and comment with you and boost your comment on his post and engage with you. So if you want to go engage with this content, please, please, please tag me along. All right. So the next one I found was, I got a little something different out of this one. Kashubu or Kushbu. Sorry, I'm horrible with foreign names. I am totally a work in progress. It doesn't help that I'm dyslexic. But Kushbu, hope I'm saying your name correctly, had made this video. And this was her day 24, I think, of 30. Or maybe she's doing it for the whole month. I'm not really sure, but I came across this one, and she makes this really bold statement. I really like it. She says, "Do not rethink you are the most important person." And her context is maybe you need a break or whatever. But I wanted to expand that context that, in your business, in your brand, you are the most important person. If you get too caught up with like running around trying to get the next client, trying to do this favor, hoping that they'll pay you back, or that if you do this for this person, that it'll give you some other kind of advantage somewhere else, and you always feel like you're like everything's run by bubble gum and band-aids, or everything's on a shoestring, and you just wear yourself thin. But that's a good sign that you're focusing in the wrong areas, because you don't have to hustle. Like I'm seeing this reverse trend, and I kind of like it, where hustling is not like working 70 and 80 hours a week. You do tend to typically focus a lot on your business if you're in your personal brand. And there's never really a time where you say, at 5 o'clock, I'm off. You're probably focused or thinking in the background of your business all the time. And especially, with social media, you're probably getting on and engaging with people 24/7, even when you take breaks and say, for the next 2 hours, we're going to go watch a movie, and you put your phone down, or you're going to spend time with family. Like I took a huge break during the holidays, even though I was doing some things to build my business. I still took a huge break. But don't forget, you're the most important person. You got to take care of yourself. If you're constantly giving to other people, especially if, and I see this with coaches, they think I'm going to coach this person for free, and then they'll take this other person for free, and they take another person for free. The next thing you know, you're running a charity. By the way, if you run a charity, if you don't run a charity like a business, it'll be out of business. So even if you're running a charity, you have to run it like a business. And if you stretch yourself so thin, always trying to do all these different things, that's your first sign something's not working right. So maybe you do need a break. As a matter of fact, one of my partial clients that I'm picking up right now, back before Christmas, we had this discussion, and he went on a big trip. I think it was Disney World. And I said, okay, so when you're in Disney World, like get off the phone and quit commenting. Don't make any more posts. Don't connect and engage with people. Just get off the phone and enjoy your time with your family. And my selling point was, because everything you've done up to this point, it doesn't matter. Like it hasn't made any money. So if you ignore your phone or the social networks for a week, like, no, it's not like you're going to lose money. You're not making money anyway. So just don't do it, and start from here and form a new habit, so that when you come back, you're willing to just stay focused on just the things that are the most important. And it was a very successful change for him. So, all right. I saw my stream flicker there for a second. I'm just going to check and make sure everything looks okay. Yeah, the windows are still acting really weird. Yeah, Yep, looks okay. No one has made a comment yet, but that's no big deal. I still love you. Oh, actually, Kenyatta Turner, what up, girl? So she came and said hi, Richard. Looks like she was on Facebook. So, and we do have a couple viewers. So I don't know. I just noticed the restream monitor like flickered, so I thought I'd come and double check. So thanks for dropping in, Kenyatta. And please, if you got questions, hey, Kenyatta, you're good on video. Get your webcam. See the link at the bottom down there. Join live. Type that link in with your webcam or on your phone and hop on here. Spend just 5-10 minutes and say hey to the folks. All right, I'm going to get back to going through some of this content now if I can find the window again. Alrighty, so let me post this out. So this is the link that I've been talking about. Again, if you go and you make a comment of any sort, I would just really appreciate it if you tag me so that I can go there and support your comment. And again, the takeaway is you are the most important person in your business, and sometimes you need to just take a break and think about you. Don't stretch yourself too thin. Okay, so now here's some Q&A. So I'm saving up one big question for the end, and that I will go a little bit long. It's a little bit about Facebook strategy, but I got two other shorter questions that I'm going to put in here in the meantime. So this is one that I got in earlier this week from Jasmine. Thank you so much for sending this in. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit so that I can see it a little bit better. I can see it just fine, but my camera's in the way. You guys know how I work. My screen is actually behind the camera so that while I'm looking at the screen, I'm obviously doing a lot of really good eye contact. So I had to zoom in a little bit so I can see it through the camera. All right, so she's replying to an email that I'd sent out talking about enjoying the holidays off and asking what are you guys up to. What are some of your struggles? You may think that I don't answer email, and that's why you don't click reply, but I do answer these emails. I reply to people, and I also answer them in these videos. So, all right, so she said the struggles for us is we're a new brand. The service that we offer is really competitive. And I'm guessing what she means by competitive is pricing competition, because she says, what is our USP? Her USP is her pricing strategy, but to get people to the point where they understand the pricing difference, they have to raise their awareness. And so this is difficult in business. Number one, if you're in a very competitive space and the only distinguishing thing between you and competition is money or the way it's financed or how much they charge or anything, not actually the product or service itself, I'm telling you, that's a very, very difficult business. This is red water, where it's just like it's filled with blood. It's like high competition and very cutthroat. And so like when businesses first enter into a market, I keep seeing the stream flicker. I hope everything's okay. It looks like it's okay, but it keeps dropping and coming back. So when there's like a new product or a new service that no one's ever had before, like when the mobile phones came out or whatever, and you have like a market, let's say this is the capitalization or how much money there is in the market, and a business will come in and take almost 100% of that when they first get started. You usually can't capture 100% because there'll be some people that just don't know about buying a phone or whatever, but they would buy one if they knew. Of course, it'd be kind of hard for us to imagine that. But anyway, you get the point. And so that's blue water because you're the only person in that market. When other competitors start coming in and they start taking up some of that slice of the pie that's there, then you have to start distinguishing yourself. And if it's not based off of the product, like you can't re-innovate the product and make better product, more features or customizations that work really well for the customer, you're heading into dangerous territory because someone else will come along and they'll operate their business on a lower margin. Like they're more efficient. It takes less staff to run or whatever, or they will apply a new technology where, maybe in my business, I've got 20 people and this new technology comes in and it's the price of maybe half of a person. Well, they just put me out of business because now I've still got to pay 20 people if I'm going to run my business. They don't have to pay them. So they will lower their margin. They'll lower their price and undercut me. And it turns into a price war, right? So, but if I came out with a big new feature and like I'm the only one that's got this big amazing feature, then the prices don't matter yet, because people that want this one feature, they're gonna be willing to pay a higher price for it. So once markets turn commodity, that is that it doesn't really matter who you go with. And that, by the way, that's how cell phones are today. It doesn't really matter who you go with. That you're basically going to pay about the same amount for about the same service. Now, that's given that where I work, I think I was on AT&T in my office building. It just didn't work well, and I probably paid a little bit more. Now we're on T-Mobile, same exact phone. As a matter of fact, we transferred all of our phones, same phones, same service. Actually, a little bit better because now I get reception really well in my office, and I never have any dropped calls. And that's a commodity market where I can just easily replace whoever the provider of the service with another provider and get the exact same service. Now you're competing. If it's not on cell phone coverage, like in that particular case, the only competition there really is on pricing. And once you enter into a price competition, it's time really for me. My advice, because I've done startup, I've launched several startups myself, and I advise startups. It's time to get out of the business. But the difficulty she's having is this exact case, because she's going to talk about, I keep wanting to use my phone as an example. She wants to keep, if the features are the same and it's the exact same features on this phone as this other phone, then and the only difference is the pricing, then really she can't talk to you about the phone first and try to sell you the phone and say, hey, listen, let me tell you why you need to get this phone. She really has to quickly go over to, our pricing is different. And it's really funny, because imagine when you first meet a salesman, the last thing that he needs to get involved in is the price, right? So if you hey, glad to meet you, shake their hand and say, oh, and by the way, I want to let you know right up front, we're very customizable on price or something. It feels odd. And the other thing that she talks about is when you're new, it's especially hard to get heard in all the online noise. Now, maybe her pricing thing is not as bad as maybe I'm reading into it. Again, this isn't a whole lot of detail. I didn't talk to her on the phone, so I don't know all the ins and outs about it. But this next one is definitely a common problem. When you're new, it's really hard to be heard online, and that's very true, because you have to be distinguished and different. And that's why I like the post from Eric earlier on, you bring the value. And as I say, you're an artist, and you bring your artistry you bring your craftsmanship into the work that you're doing, and you make yourself distinct. And people will say, oh, wow, like that guy or that girl, they're different. They're doing something different. It may actually be the same cell phone, but because the way that you carry your business and the way that you operate is so different, it really stands out. Now, well, I guess I can tell you this funny anecdote. So when I was a kid, we, and you watch the colored TV, which was a pretty new thing, right about the time I was born, I guess, telling my age there. We in our town, we had this one guy. He would wear these flashy jackets, like these plaid jackets and plaid pants, and they were always mismatched, crazy colors. And he would have a horn and like a little clown nose and honking his horn. And he would make these ads on TV, and it was crazy. And people would go up to him that knew him as friends or whatever, or they would first get introduced. And they say, oh yeah, you're the guy with the crazy thing. Why do you do that? He said, well, if I dressed normal and I just made a normal pitch, no one would come and look at my cars, because he's in a very competitive market. And the only distinguishing factor, actually, in that case, is probably going to be service or inventory. Like he's got a car that someone wants and they can't find it anywhere else. But on average, he's a used car salesman, and you can buy his used cars anywhere. So the only way that he could really distinguish himself was being super flashy. He said, if I run ads like that, I look silly, I feel stupid, but it brings the customers in and it makes my business work. So I'm not saying go get a plaid, jacket and plaid pants and wear all these clashing colors or anything like that. But I am saying totally be you, but be you in the market space where you are. Stay true to your core values and focus on giving high levels of service, even if all you do is deliver, like you're selling a product. Make service your number one thing and distinguish yourself to your customers. All right, so moving on to the next one. Again, my last one, I'm tempted to get started on it right now. My last one is, I'm going to go through a little bit of Facebook strategy, because I got a pretty good question in today. But before we get to that one, let me talk to you about Hazem Fayyad. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So right now he's working. This is from LinkedIn, LinkedIn messaging. So he's working. He's a digital platform analyst in oil and gas, but at the same time, he's an authority. I can't remember the country. Could go look it up. It's like New Zealand or Austria, or it's somewhere up in Europe, but I can't remember. Please forgive me. I look at so many profiles a day. I can't remember where everybody's from, but nevertheless, and he works with I think tourism, and he helps give guides. And so that's one of the things that he does. And he asked me this question earlier up above. I didn't want to put the whole conversation in here. He basically said, hey, I'd like to build a big following online. So I was like, okay, sure. What's the point? I can show you how to build a big audience, but after you've built a big audience, what comes next? And he is like, thanks for the reply. And he had to pause and think about this. And I think this is a common problem with people that are starting a personal brand, is they're excited and they want to go do something, and they just think, hey, I just want to build a big audience because I see whoever, fill in the blank, Gary V or whoever, they've got millions that are following them. I need to make millions of people follow me, and then I can actually make some money, or I'll be an influencer, like whatever. But they never think, okay, after I get 1 million followers, then what? And I think this is the most important thing to ask yourself first, is why. And I love to define why first. So why is it that you want to go into business for yourself? Why is it that you want to do this particular product? Why is it that you want to service these particular needs in the market space? I think those are very important questions. When you answer those, then your business and what you're going to go do becomes very super clear. So in this case, I'm really glad that I asked the question and helped him sit back. And notice how he came back at the end. I really love this guy's answer. He said that, and again, because it's behind my camera, I can't read it. I guess I could move it where I could read it, but nevertheless, so he wants to be an influencer, but not like you see influencers, which you got to have total respect for this. He doesn't want to be one of those influencers where he's like, hey, I've got 1 million followers and, I use this hot sauce. So why don't you use my hot sauce or whatever? And he doesn't want to do that, but he actually wants to be someone who influences the market space, and in this particular case in AI. And you got to have a lot of respect for that. And my advice there is, if you want to be an influencer like that, I'll give you a different word. I truly believe that influencer is a good word for that, but another word is leader. And if you're going to be a leader in a space, then you have to be out on the front doing things and solving problems and showing people the way, like figuring things out and publicizing it. This is what's really cool, like going back to the earlier dilemma of in a crowded market space, like how do you get recognition? You got to admit, on all the social media platforms, they're very, very crowded. How do you get recognition? Be a leader and show people what you're doing, like create things. Be the person that solves the problem and share the solution to other people. Show people a better approach or a better way. Be a community person. So invite people together for discussions. This is one really big struggle I see, especially people that are first starting out, doing, or a mistake that I see them doing, is they don't want to lift up or promote other people, because they think, if I promote that other person, like I just talked about Kenyatta. By the way, Kenyatta, drop, if you're still on, drop your link in the comments and let people find you and connect to you. She and I have talked, I don't know, for 3 or 4 months now. She's really good in her area. We met, I think, through 10 Tips, 10 Days. I think we're also on Q's before 2020, which is now before 2020 and beyond. But I've got no problem lifting up other people. I find really good posts. I'll actually share their post out rather than comment on them. I share them and I put my comment up at the top and tell people what I found of value in that. Why? Because I'm not really afraid of competition. So don't be afraid of other people in the Hazim. Don't be afraid of other people in the AI space. Lift them up, promote them, say, hey, this guy just figured out this really cool thing and I learned something from it, and share it. Promote other people and become a leader, not just in because you're giving out really good information. But become a leader. If you're really secure in your position where you are in your brand and in your market space, you have no problem promoting other people because you're self-confident. You have everything you need. And trust me, that pays off in spades. So I really like this guy's attitude. I'm glad that he took a second to think about it. I encourage you to think about why. Why are you trying to build a following? Why this product? Why this group of people? Why do you try to solve this particular need? What's your why behind that? And make sure you stay focused on that as you build an audience, and do like Eric Didier, and like don't get caught up in just trying to build a big following or getting a bunch of likes or getting a lot of monetization, for example, off of YouTube or whatever. Don't get trapped in that. That's like getting sucked in and trapped in the matrix. All right, now to the one that I'm hoping, let me zoom in a little bit more, that you'll get a little bit more value out, because this is going to be very strategic on Facebook. So I have a very specific strategy in Facebook. I think it was 9-10 years ago. I was pretty heavy in Facebook. I had literally thousands of followers, and I got rid of almost all of them and cut back. I think I had a goal to like get less than 50. And since then I've kind of relaxed, but I got it. I cut back and I continued to do my marketing. And then life changed and I moved on, and I went to LinkedIn. And now, interestingly, I'm back to Facebook. So a lot of this is old hat for me. And I just want to share some basic Facebook strategy. So number one huge marketing strategy is don't leave, and you've heard me say this, don't leave communication with your ideal customer up to the news feed. Like don't leave it up to the algorithm, because you'll make a post and I'm not going to be on at that time, and the algorithm will promote it a lot at that time, and then this post will kind of die off, and then I decide I'm going to get on later that day and your post is gone and I never hear from you. And I've got friends, especially like I'm seeing this on LinkedIn, I think their system is a little bit messed up. They'll even tag me on their post and I won't see. Like I will look in my notifications, I won't see it. But what I will see is that someone else liked the comment where they tagged me, and I'll get notified that that someone liked the comment I was tagged in. But I never got notified that I was tagged in anything. And it's really weird. And Facebook has been, or excuse me, LinkedIn's been doing that for a while. And so I really don't. And by the way, I'm not criticizing people that tag each other in posts. That's cool. But that is a strategy of communication is not going to work. It's not what you will have success with. So I typically just don't do it. All right, so back to Facebook. So one of the strategies that I have, I recommend two different strategies for being able to control the communication, so that when you communicate, people actually hear you and engage with it, versus like just throwing it out to the wind or the news feed and just hope to God that they get to see that one. So instead of doing that, here are the two things that I recommend. Number one, make an email list. Now, I say that, and I'm an email guy. I've got an email marketing platform. I've been running it for 10 years. I've built lists over millions of subscribers. So and email's a beast. Like I admit that getting email delivered when you first set up a new domain is painful. And I've recently experienced that pain kind of intentionally. And so I don't recommend people start off with email, because it's a lot. Getting a template to work, getting the delivery, making sure you don't show up in spam. After you don't show up in spam, make sure you're not over in promotional. Like there's a lot of work. And some people, their inboxes are so crowded, it's just as bad as trying to do it to the news feed, that they're just not gonna get your email. So in that case, like you really have to be delivering really strong value in email so that it stands out above all the other noise. So that's why I usually don't recommend email in the very beginning, because it's a lot harder learning curve. So what's the second one? Right here, what Ron, by the way, you guys may remember Ron, we did a live yesterday. He was just here yesterday. And so this is one of his follow-up questions. You may want to go catch that interview. It is in Digital Brand Alchemy, the Facebook group. It's in the feed there because it was just done yesterday. And we had a really great discussion, a lot of discussion. He's got a great brand. It's kind of weird. He's in the security arena, but he's proving that even like this tech geek security guy can actually build a huge profitable personal brand, and I love it. So I interviewed him yesterday. This is a leftover question where I had recommend that he make a Facebook group. And this is the second thing. So email, but I recommend that you start with a Facebook group because it's so much easier and much more conducive to building a really great community and following, as you know, because I'm running a Facebook group myself. So he asked, how should I set this up? Should his personal account be the admin or what? So I wanted to go through a little bit. I'm going to expand the context. Ron, I hope you enjoy this because I'm going to tell a number of tips on how to set up everything that you do in Facebook, just using a couple guidelines. So number one, I would definitely make your profile, freshen it, new picture, new, what do they call those? The cover photo that's behind your image. Like, make sure all that stuff's fresh, make sure your details are up to date. If you're building a personal brand in a specific market space, make sure that's kind of clear right off the bat. When people look at your profile, they kind of get that sense. Of course, you may have pictures of your dogs and your kids and your vacations, stuff like that. But if they look at your profile, that it kind of clicks that, yeah, I found the right person because they're in this space and that's what this is talking about. Because people, they may find you on LinkedIn, like that's where you're connected, and they'll look you up on Facebook. So go ahead and make sure that like it clicks. I even use the same photo everywhere. I try to keep it simple. Nevertheless, so your profile, one of the biggest things to do with your profile is go ahead and get your vanity URL. What is your vanity URL? So if someone right now types in facebook.com/Richard Pickett, I think it's all just one word, or maybe Richard.Pickett, whatever, like, you're going to go to my personal profile. So I claimed that really early on, which makes it nice because as I develop my own personal brand, if someone Googles Richard Pickett, Facebook is pretty authoritative to Google, and Google will say, oh, wow, we found a Richard Pickett right over here that's got a root URL right off of facebook.com. So that establishes some authority. It makes it easier for me to be found. So vanity on your profile, claim your vanity URL, make it your name, make it a variation. You may have to do like Richard.Pickett, or like some places I'll use my middle initial, which is W, or I'm a junior, by the way. So sometimes I even have to put junior on the end or whatever, but I want it to be with my first and last name at a minimum, because if people search for me by first and last name, I want them to be able to find this profile. All right, so that's one for your personal profile. Then I recommend making a public page and set it that you're a public figure, not like a store business or whatever, but a public figure, and go ahead and name it you. Use the same photos, like the whole 9 yards. That's totally fine. Take your time, set it up correctly for phone. So most public profile pages will need a phone number, and I use a Google Voice number as my public number, and no, it doesn't ring my phone. So when people send text to that public number, I do get those, not as text though. I get them in the Google Voice thing. But if they call, like, it doesn't even bug me. It doesn't ring my phone. It goes straight to the voicemail. Another really cool thing there, thank you, Google, is they screen out a bunch of spam callers. So if I'm on some kind of robocall, I wouldn't even know it, because I never get any of those messages. I only get messages from legitimate people, because Google does a pretty good job of filtering out spam, even on their phone solution. All right, so enough of that. But so make a public or a personal page of like a public figure page, or if you need to set it up like a business or whatever. But I do recommend, again, that you make one that's just you. Even if you have a separate business, then make a business page. That's totally cool. But I recommend that you make a page that's just you. Get a Google Voice number. It's totally free. So you can screen out your calls and all that kind of stuff. And on that one, same thing, vanity URL, because it will be facebook.com/ and whatever your vanity URL is. So if you own, in this case, Ron, if you own Ron.Craig goes to your personal, and Ron Craig, or Ron and initial Craig, goes to your page, that's pretty authoritative, that when people hear about you, or they're at a conference and they see you speak or whatever, and they just pull up their phone and they Google Ron Craig, like, you're going to own the first couple of slots, again, because Google knows that Facebook is fairly authoritative for those searches. So profile, make a page. If you also have a business, make a business page. In this case, you'll see that I've done that as well. Digital Brand Alchemy is not a business per se, but it is a brand that I'm operating some things under right now. And so I have a Digital Brand Alchemy page, and I think it's set up as a community. I definitely don't think it's set up as a public person or a public figure or whatever. So if you need to make another page as a business, that's totally cool. But I recommend also you have your own page for you. All right, then make your Facebook group. And this one, you wouldn't want to have it named, you guys are not in the Richard Pickett group. Like, that would be so weird. You're in the Digital Brand Alchemy group. So make a name for your Facebook group that really resonates with your ideal customers. Like, maybe not ideal customers, like, because in this case, Ron has larger companies that create security devices and services and things like that. And he evaluates them and then makes recommendations for them. And so those are more like his customers, although we as the common consumer trust Ron and trust his opinion on what we should do, like for securing our Facebook, securing LinkedIn, what password storage things should we be using, all those kinds of things. So I would make a Facebook group that resonates with this consumer base, because Ron can always get on here and do videos, lives, like whatever, and give us really good content that would help us make our lives much more secure and build trust. And then as these other companies have products, and by the way, I know he turns products down because he doesn't believe in them, which is a lot of integrity. So build a group that will resonate with your ideal customer or the group of people that you're trying to bring together. In this case, it would be the consumer, and go for the vanity URL. So in this case, the group URLs are going to be facebook.com/groups, plural, GROUPS, / and then whatever the name of your group is. But in the beginning, when you first set it up, it's going to be like some weird, crazy number stuff. So you don't want to keep that. And if you're worried that, well, like right now I'm just picking this name and I'm going to make I don't want to use a short URL yet, or a vanity URL yet, I'll do it later. Like, go ahead and set it now, because you can change it, I think, until you have it'll tell you on there. It's like until you have 100 members, you can change it. So it's not that big of a deal if you pick one today just to get something, so that it's easier for you to type and remember, because it's certainly a lot easier for me to remember groups / Digital Brand Alchemy than it is like whatever that crazy number it was. And if you decide you need to change it, just do it before you reach 100 people. By the way, you'll notice, like with Digital Brand Alchemy, I use uppercase. So it's a capital D, a capital B, a capital A. So Digital Brand Alchemy is kind of distinct and it's easy to read instead of a whole bunch of lowercase and all. It's like all mushed together. So use capital letters to help distinguish. Facebook will honor that. So there are my thoughts on how to structure. Oh, and then who should be running it. So in like Digital Brand Alchemy, it kind of doesn't matter. It depends on you and what you want to have out of it. So for example, if you don't want to interact with the people and kind of want to be a little standoffish, I think that's not a good strategy. But maybe some people, they have a clear business reason for doing that. Then you can just have your page be the thing that interacts inside of your group, whether it's your business page or your public personality page, or like whatever that is. You can have your page be the thing that's making posts and announcements and comments and all that kind of stuff. And it's easy to switch to your page to do that. I don't recommend it. I think sometimes the way Facebook works, mine just ends up doing it anyway. Sorry. But most of the time it's always me, especially if when you're on mobile, it'll say you're interacting as yourself or whatever. And I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks for telling me. And I'll like switch and make sure I'm doing it as me. I think that's more engaging. But you definitely still want to put your page as well as your own personal profile as total administrators. And as your Facebook group grows, you'll probably find some people that are really good administrators. They're not going to be interested in the business, so to speak, or trying to like, run off or whatever. But you can promote some people to be moderators to help, keep things calm, cool, collected inside your Facebook group. But definitely having your personal profile, that is, and your page, whether it's your business or personal brand page or whatever public figure page, as the administrator group is totally cool. And then using whichever one you think is best for you. I recommend using your personal profile in the day-to-day interaction. All righty. Let me see if I got any questions. I don't see any. Nope. And oh, you know what though? Because I published the link, I was thinking maybe someone would have dropped in, but nope. See that there are a couple people watching. What's up, yo? Sorry you guys didn't join. I would love it if you would. If you want to join real quick, you're watching, you can just go to the URL there at the bottom, https://rpurls.com/live-guest. But you'd have to tell me in the comments really quick so that I'll know. Let me see if there are any other comments. Nope, no other comments. So I think that's it at this time. And how long did we go? Oh, 41 minutes. I hope this was really informative for you. I love doing this kind of stuff, and I look forward to, number one, answering more of your questions through the week. Send them in. You can either you could reply to the emails. You can do it in post in the Digital Brand Alchemy Facebook group. If you could DM me, like you saw a number of people direct message me, like whatever. I love doing this kind of stuff. And if you want to come live with me, hey, let me know. Let's do live. I'm getting some more interviews lined up, by the way. I've got a number of people that are joining the group, and a number of them have said they want to do live interviews. So I've got more of those coming up. I think Bobby Umar, you guys that are big on Facebook, you guys that are big on LinkedIn will know Bobby Umar. He's a big LinkedIn Live kind of guy. We should be going live Thursday morning. I will confirm that and send it out via email. I'd love it if you guys would drop in. He usually goes live, I think, 8:45 Eastern. So 7:45 my time. And oh my God, like 5:45 out on the West Coast. So looking forward to engaging a lot more with you guys this week. And thanks so much for coming by.